Hello, everyone and no one, and welcome to another Talking Into the Void. And with me, as always, is Tyr Alexander. Tyr, how you doing?
I'm doing good, my friend. Yourself?
Eh, not too bad. Join us as well as Angela. Angela, how you been?
I've been I I fell down a rabbit hole of watching The Red Thread.
Do
The
what?
It's a show with Windigoon and Moist Critical and a guy named Jackson from uh
no, but it was called the Red
where's
what?
Harris from? The Red Thread.
Red bread?
Thread, like needle
Bread.
hand.
Okay, yeah, I think I've heard him say that one before. Because yeah, Woondagoon's on like three different podcasts. There's like that one, um, Creepcast with Meat Cane. Then he's got one with the one dude from Lore Lodge where they talk about Bible stuff. Like not preaching or whatnot, just like weird stuff in the Bible.
Yeah, I've heard of those. I'm not
Yeah.
big I don't follow all of them, but the Red Thread is like a lot like what he covers on his Wendigoon channel,
Hmm.
and it's pretty good.
Yeah, I
Have
still
fun.
one of these days got to check out Creepcast to see the what him and Meat Canyon talk about. So I know it's definitely a few days old and whatnot, but did you guys hear about the fucking rookie in Hollywood who's been enforcing traffic laws on the fucking Hollywood celebs?
Oh, fucking hell, yes.
Yeah, like he busted Justin Timberlake.
I have not
You,
heard of, but I like this guy.
Yep.
you are not above the law.
Yep, because he got him for drunk driving.
Oh,
Yep. Because
Oh,
so many others and whatnot, they would just let the Hollywood ops and whatnot do what they want, and he was just like, "No, you're not special." I'm like, yes, you do this, but you do that. Yeah, apparently he's gotten the nickname of like uh the Sag Harbor Nazi, uh, and the little redhead dips tea. I think it's supposed to be
Yo,
dipshit. Because he's a Sag Harbor cop, but like he's pulled people over, and it's like y'all are pissed because he's not letting you get away with shit that you'd be pissed if a regular person did. Like, get fucked.
get fucked. You aren't above the law.
Yeah.
yeah. I like the notion of making it clear to them that they're not above the law.
Mm-hmm.
You're popular. You're not special.
And Justin Timberlake has been big for a long fucking time. The only time anyone ever brings him back up each year is when May starts, or right near the end or beginning of May. For his It's Gonna Be Me,
It's going to be mad.
but it sounds like it's gonna be May.
Again, you aren't above the law. You aren't special. You aren't a unique snowflake. You're just like everybody else. Get back, bitch. Like, I got another problem.
Yeah, and then like I know that with the more recent Supreme Court decisions, the only one I'm not the biggest fan of is the domestic abuse or not domestic abuse, the domestic violence one.
Rahimi.
Yeah, like even if
Why?
the
Yeah.
dude might be a piece of shit, like that gets into red flag territory of being like, oh well, if you've got a DV against you, like especially if it's just like a domestic violence restraining order, which are rubber stamped for women.
Yeah, I'm actually surprised that my ex didn't try for one, but it's a simple fact that nobody would have believed that. Her own family wouldn't have believed that.
Still, it's that whole thing. It is the most common thing to be done. in any sort
Yeah.
of divorce and whatnot. And if any woman goes and wants to get a restraining order against a guy, boom, they're basically going to rubber stamp it because they fall back on the men are typically stronger than women. Not all, obviously, but in most cases, men typically are stronger and tend to be more violent.
But it does. It's whatever.
But it's the erring on the side of caution, because they have had the ones, okay, we're going to respond to a domestic violence call, say, hey, that's enough, you two, you work this out, don't want to see you again. And there was too many of the ones where they had to come back there to see those two again. But the problem was one of them was dead, to use an old Christopher Titus joke.
Fair point.
Yeah, but if you the flip side of that is they're gonna, if the person's really that committed to doing the violent thing, they're
The restraining order is
gonna
not
end up
going to
with the
stop
same
them.
results because this restraining order is a paper shield.
Mm-hmm.
It's a paper
Yeah,
shield against the battering ram.
I
And
remember hearing
it's,
about a case where a guy goes, he breaks up with his girlfriend, and he takes a shotgun and blows both her and the new boyfriend away in like London, if I'm not mistaken. And he had a history of being violent.
Yeah. I mean, I'm of that whole thing that if they're so violent and dangerous, then you should have no problem proving that they shouldn't be out on the street.
Yeah.
So there should be no reason for a restraining order. Like that shit just irritates the fuck out of me. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm glad on from what I've heard of, basically the pistol brace one got shot down, the fucking bump stock one got shot down, and it should have, because, and that's where what's great with the Chevron one being shot down is because it is taking so much power away from three-letter agencies that
yeah, Chevron should never have been in the first place.
well, I still like one of the things I saw on there. I think someone was being sarcastic. They were trying to be like, oh, a dairy farmer, that they could just throw like, shards of iron in their milk and they can't get in trouble for it. It's like, no, they still technically could get in trouble for that.
Yeah, that would fall under something that's
That'd fall under a criminal act.
yeah, that would fall under something that's covered by the clear language of the law itself. There's no ambiguity, and there's nothing that a three-letter agency has to specially rewrite and redefine to make that illegal. It's illegal already.
Mm-hmm.
They don't have to say, well, there's a vagueness in the law and we're going to make a rule to cover the vagueness in the law. No, the law is pretty darn clear there.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the problem has always been that these three-letter agencies are always executive.
No,
Executive.
the problem with the three-letter agencies is the fact that the fucking legislative branches and judicial branches keep wanting to give more power to them than they're supposed to have. Because then, as basically, Jack Cochran would say, they can basically it's like, well, you can't get mad at me. I didn't make that decision. Motherfucker, I am mad at you because you should have made that decision.
Was the like our government is the executive enforces the laws, the legislative makes the laws, and the judicial interprets the laws.
I thought it was the judicial enforces the laws.
Huh?
The judicial
No,
enforces the law.
No,
It's the executive that enforces the laws. They're the ones with the law enforcement, the prosecutors, all of
Okay,
that.
I was just saying, like, I can never remember. I don't.
Judicial kind of plays referee in
Yeah.
the trials.
I was just gonna say it would make
Yeah,
more.
it interprets the laws.
I was gonna say it would make more sense to me of them being the judicial branch having the police forces in there, because it being like the Department of Justice, judicial. That's where my brain's going with it, because like I said, I'm not gonna sit here and claim like I know fucking everything.
Yeah, Department of Justice is executive.
Okay.
Police forces are executive. Prosecutors are executive. And they're the ones that take it to the court. The court interprets the law and applies the law and the rules of court to the trial, and then the jury applies the facts as determiners of fact to the law as explained by the judge.
Okay.
You give the power to make an enforcer make the laws. It's like giving the witch finder the ability to figure out what is a witch.
Basically, it's kind of like having the judges from Judge Dredd.
Yeah, sort of. And part of where Chevron really screwed things up is like, hey, the law's written. Oh, there's vagueness in the law. Now, the witch you're supposed to have when there's vagueness in the law is any vagueness is supposed to be interpreted in favor of innocence, in favor of the citizen. And what they were doing instead is like, oh, hey, there's a vagueness in the law. If there's a vagueness in the law,
We
the
can do it.
administrative agency gets to tell the courts and the people what that means.
Yeah, no.
Oh, and they can turn around next year and change it.
I still just love how this fell into the reason why this happened for Chevron. You look into it from everything I'm aware of. Started with fishermen basically being told they had to pay federal agents to come onto their own boats to do that, or to make sure they weren't overfishing. And quite literally, it just fell into the old adage of you don't fuck with Americans' boats.
Yeah, we
Like fucking with Americans' boats is what got us into World War II. It's the reason why we showed Japan the sun twice.
And it's the reason why we've done a lot of other things in other parts of the world.
Yeah,
Barbary Pirates comes to mind, as does
about the only ones who've gotten away with it is Israel.
yeah, and I really don't know how they got away. Even being an ally,
Yeah.
I don't know how they got away with that.
You know what would be a cool idea or no idea? If we voted for the secretaries of these three-letter agencies. If sort of like the presidency.
I mean, the secretaries of the agencies aren't the head of the agencies.
Well, the heads of the three-letter agencies, like Merrick Garland and Whitman and all that. So if we voted them in, so they are technically accountable to us.
Well, they're members of the executive branch and defined as presidential appointments under the Constitution. So they're supposed to be appointed by the president and reviewed and approved by the Senate, or approval denied. And the Senate should have denied approval on Merrick Garland because he's
a piece of shit.
Yeah,
he's a terrible person in general, and he's doubly a terrible person when it comes in regards to even in fair application of the law. He does not want to apply certain laws because he doesn't like them. He doesn't want to apply them fairly and evenly because he prefers some people to get off for the same behavior that he wants other people to go to jail for life for.
I mean, that's a common thing amongst basically any of them.
See, but if you had to,
what's up, Travis?
Travis, if we had to vote in, say, Merrick Garland and like Mayorkas, they would be accountable to us, and we could strap term limits to their ass.
It's one of those things that because of the agency they're in and everything, it doesn't make a lot of sense of having the American public go through and vote on there.
Yeah.
Like,
it also doesn't, I mean, one of the things that creates then is a lot of trouble if one of them turns out to be really bad, corrupt in a way that the people and everything won't tolerate and such, because they serve at the appointment and at the pleasure of the president, which means if they tick him off, he can fire them And he might have
Yeah,
to
but
fight with Congress about approving another one, but it's like, okay, you're done today.
but the problem currently is once you're entrenched, like how long has Merrick Garland served as the Department of DOJ's head?
Um, too long.
All right, so if we could strap term limits to his ass, he would be. We wouldn't be having this issue right now. Now, I'm
Well,
not saying we vote for all the three-letter agencies, but we should force them to have term limits. If you're the head of DOJ for
Again, I'm kind of with Monkey on that one, to where it's just I don't necessarily agree with the whole term limits thing for everything, because if someone's going to go corrupt and they know they have term limits, they're just going to go corrupt faster.
yeah, but if they go corrupt faster, then they'll make when you play if you play your cards too fast, you run the risk of being caught. So if you have a 4-year term limit, you got to play your hand quick.
Now, I have no problem with saying that they don't have like the amount of terms they can do to have a limit, but they do have a thing that after so many years, there has to be a review to see if they should even stay in there.
Shit.
Because that's different. That's different than like what most people say of having term limits. Because like a term limit would quite literally be they serve, they can serve 2 4-year terms and then they're done from it. But if you're saying having them like, okay, like the head of the FBI, head of the CIA, every 2 years, everything they've done and made decision on has to be reviewed to see if they're actually even fit to be in office.
I mean, it's the same as the term limit at that point.
Well, that whole thing, that's not a term limit. That's just seeing, because like they can still get brought back necessarily if they change their act.
Yeah, it's not a term limit in that they're not automatically booted after 2 years or 4 years or whatever.
Mhm.
It's after so many years they have to be reviewed, and if they pass, they can keep serving. If they don't, then they get the boot. They get the boot, but that depending on the behavior, the question that gets them booted, you have the potential that they could mend their ways and be eligible for a position again, or hey, they are so bad, they are so terrible, we don't want them, we don't want them the head of a closed down warehouse at this point, and definitely nothing with the country.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, that's a low blow.
But there's a difference between saying you've hit the ceiling, you can't ever, and saying, well, you've hit a milestone, we have to check up to see if you can continue.
Okay.
Yeah, that's exceptionally different. And I mean, honestly, in my opinion, for it coming to something like that, I honestly think those fuckers should have a yearly review. Because then you know what? If Congress bitches like we're trying to do something, it's like, yeah, this is something that you can actually do. You don't need to keep making new fucking laws. And I think I lost everyone.
No, I'm here.
Okay.
And I absolutely agree with you. You're talking about stuff that's already written in the Constitution as being within their power, and they're wanting to turn around. Or it's covered by what is written in the Constitution that this is within their power, is what I'm trying to say. And they're saying, okay, well, we should add it to the Constitution in plain words. And the simple fact is that the Constitution was written in the way that it's written to be self-evident.
Yeah, well, one self-evident thing from the Constitution and some people's applications of it is many men are created morons.
Mm-hmm. Yep, and it's just seemed like they're giving way too much leeway.
Yeah.
Well, now Chevron is toast, so hopefully they'll start applying the laws the way they're supposed to be applied again. It's like, hey, if it's vague, that's Congress's fault. You can't enforce that unless and until Congress rewrites it so it's not vague anymore.
Well, that's like I'm hoping the Republicans in Michigan are complete fucking tarded and allow the supposed bump stock ban. I say supposed because when you actually look into it, it also bans suppressors for no fucking reason, but it basically bans semi-autos. Like
Well, if some
I always hate that shit. It always falls into the old joke to where it's like, hey, they passed the Clean Water Act. Awesome. So we're going to have clean water? No, it means you can't own a dog.
yeah,
Yeah.
Come
and
on,
we
I'm
actually
fucking
have
home.
the country has a Clean Water Act, and the last president that had to deal with the situation that actually fell under the Clean Water Act directly broke it.
Oh,
Say that was under Obama with was it Deepwater Horizon,
mhm.
because we had governments and private groups uh, offering assistance with the cleanup. He refused, rejected the assistance. That's actually illegal.
But hey, if you clean it up, then it's not there to turn around and
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah.
say, look at what I'm doing to fix the problem.
I mean, that's like the shit that happened for, God damn it, I can't remember the place in Flint, Michigan for the water that happened here in
Oh,
Michigan. The problem happened because they weren't adding a proper chemical into the water so it wouldn't fuck with the lead pipes because there's still too many places that will use lead pipes for water.
well, the big problem, and a lot of people don't really get this far in it. The big problem is Detroit threw a tantrum.
Who threw a tantrum?
Detroit,
Oh, yeah, I'm not surprised.
because Flint was getting their water from Detroit and paying well for it. And Flint said, "Hey, we're going to put in our own water treatment plant. We're going to do our own water and stop buying it from Detroit." Now, one of the things that required is treatment for the water so that it wouldn't do nasty stuff to the lead pipes and free the lead from them. And Flint needed more time. Detroit said, "Oh, you're leaving us? Okay. We're not providing you water anymore. Right now." Detroit threw a tantrum because they're getting cut off on a cash cow from Flint and deliberately cut the supply of water when Flint wasn't ready for treating the water they had to work with.
Well, I mean, we're just hoping that shit will change for the better. We doubt it, but there's always the hope.
Yeah, I'm just looking as like, okay, if they push that stupidity on the gun ban, it's like, hello, Firearms Policy Coalition, you'll need some help.
Yeah.
Should be an easy case because of Bruin.
Oh, dude, that's like there was one here in Holland last year that I don't know if it's gone all the way through the courts, but it's going to be a slam dunk for the defendant. So he was open carrying a rifle in downtown Holland, which is technically legal. Well, someone called the police on him and they did end up arresting him because someone tried to say that he was brandishing the rifle when it never left the sling off his back. Well, the district attorney prosecutor is facing criminal actions as well because he went and said, "Hey, we can use that new red flag law and take his guns." Now, luckily, all the officers that were involved in that whole thing quite literally looked at the prosecutor and said, "We're not doing that." So he's facing criminal action of theft of firearms because technically that red flag law wasn't able to be used because this happened like I think it was August or so of last year. The Michigan red flag law didn't go into effect until January of this year.
Well,
Oh, wow.
it's a law, another law we need to get struck down anyway.
Well, they're trying to say, well, there's due process because you'll get a court case afterwards. If they take
no,
your
there's
stuff,
not due process because you don't get a court case before you seize my property.
exactly.
And violate my rights. That's the thing is due process means there's a process that has to be followed from the start.
Mm-hmm.
Due process is based on the law at the time of the interaction, not.
Yeah. No, that's like the whole thing for qualified immunity as well that a lot of people don't understand. For a person or for an officer or judge to use qualified immunity, they have to be acting in accordance with the law. And there's a lot that'll try to say, well, that they have qualified immunity, but they're quite literally not acting in accordance with the law.
Well, there's that, and then there is, for immunity, they have to be functioning within their role, and this has burned a couple of judges because judges have judicial immunity, which is more absolute than qualified immunity. But if you are acting outside your role as a judge, it's out the window. Your judicial immunity goes away. So if you do something that's an example that I think I've used before and that I've seen is a judge who actually got involved in the serving of a search and searching the place with the sheriffs, and I want to say I don't think that they even had a warrant.
Oof.
But the judge was there and told them to search and helping them search and everything. That's completely outside the role and the authority of a judge. That just eliminated any judicial immunity the judge had.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And there ought to be harsh fucking penalties for judges and law enforcement and prosecutors and DAs when they do shit like that. Because, considering the fact they're a part of the executive branch and they will use this whole thing against us, like, one, they should know better. So two, ignorance of the law is completely no excuse for them.
Prosecutors have near absolute immunity too, and I think that's rubbish. Because if ignorance of the law is no excuse, judges have the least excuse, prosecutors the second least, and cops the third least.
Mm-hmm.
And all three of them are given instead immunity for breaking the law.
Yeah.
Violating people's rights. The only other way around that is having the qualified immunity stripped because it's a clearly established right, which means a higher court with authority over the area has to have ruled on that.
Mm-hmm.
And it's got to be close enough case to what they're facing. And I mean, by close enough case, I've heard of cases where just one, I mean, the facts of the case are all but identical, but one significant difference. And the underlying principles to drive ruling on the case were identical, but one significant difference is like, yeah, well, now we can clearly establish this
Precedent.
here, but they get immunity for their actions, even though their actions were illegal and a violation of rights. Like, it's nuts.
Yeah. That's the only reason why it's like I've been getting closer and closer to, instead of going with the amending qualified immunity, to just say fuck it straight up. Nope, let's just get rid of it. It's kind of quite literally using the whole thing. It's like, since y'all don't want to let us have nice things, we're not going to have nice things.
Well, I mean, the other big thing with that is, they start with, if you're pushing for a criminal charge against any one of them, or a criminal charge, they start with the presumption of innocence and the requirement to prove guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. If it's a civil charge, you have to prove on the preponderance of the evidence. It's not just a, hey, I'm mad at cops, let's do bad things to cops. No, they get to present their case, and their case shouldn't be, well, I get to be ignorant of the law and shouldn't be penalized for it.
Yeah.
It should be, hey, I didn't violate this person's rights.
Well, that's like 90% of the time with cops, that you can see that they'll have this person assaulted a police officer, when the police officer will typically have, technically or by definition, assault or battery them first.
And any notion of duty to identify laws just needs to be struck. If I'm not under arrest, the police have no business knowing who I am.
Yeah.
And the whole, they didn't answer, so even though we don't have a duty to identify law statute in this state, their failure to identify somehow became obstruction of police and law enforcement action. No.
Yeah.
If I have no duty to identify myself, then me failing to identify myself should not become part of the equation at all. You want to detain me for an investigation, and you have, reasonable basis to detain me for an investigation, go ahead. I have no obligation to assist you in any way, shape, or form. The only legal constraint on me there is I can't give you false information.
Yeah. Well, you're not technically.
I can't leave.
Yeah.
I'm not free to leave while I'm being detained, but the detention, as per the Fourth Amendment and Supreme Court precedents, has to be only of a reasonable duration. But I don't have to help you. I say, no, I'm not going to. I'm invoking my rights. I'm invoking, in my case, I'd be invoking 4th, 5th, and 6th every single time.
Mm-hmm. Well, the thing that bugs me as well is how cops are legally allowed to lie.
Yes. And part of the reason, and there's a couple reasons that really, really gets to me. The first is the position of trust they hold, requires a significant degree of integrity and public trust. And the fact that they are permitted, not just permitted, but encouraged to lie, as called a legitimate investigative action tactic. Yeah, it undercuts that.
Mm-hmm.
It's, you're supposed to be able to trust me, but no, you can't trust me. I don't have to do, I don't have to remain trustworthy. The next part is another big one for me, is that police lying in their investigation is a driving force behind false confessions.
Mm-hmm.
And I have personally witnessed somebody leaving in police interrogation gibbering. Like, they kept saying I did it. They kept saying I did it. I must have done something because they kept saying I did it.
Yeah.
And the police knew they couldn't even prove, say, I know enough about that case to know that the police knew they couldn't prove a crime had been committed, let alone by that person.
Mm-hmm.
But they went in all gangbusters with force and threats and direct violation of rights to get what they claimed would be a confession and keep trying to pursue the person.
Yeah.
Well,
And-
they did that too. Go ahead.
I would say the third reason, big reason for me why police lying should be, if they are caught in a lie, proven lie, should be an immediate firing for cause and prevention of ever holding a law enforcement, heck, ever
So
holding any
blacklisting.
position of trust in the government at all. Blacklist on all levels, no police role, no executive role, no judicial role. And okay, I can't necessarily keep them running for Congress, but a requirement that all of their campaign ads include, this person was fired from law enforcement for lying.
Yeah.
And it's because the more they're encouraged to lie and the more they get away with it, you run into something that's been happening a lot with the Karen Reed case. And everything is the cops not constraining their lies to the investigation process. You have them writing lies in their police reports and giving false testimony on trial to try and convict an innocent person.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't tell me that, well, you can tell me, you can't convince me that them getting free reign to lie to the public all they want, with only a few very specific exceptions that are almost never enforced,
Yeah. And
does not push them to that next step of, hey, I'm just going to keep lying because it works.
well, then it's funny because they're like, well, we don't know why we've lost trust. It's like why people in the public and whatnot don't respect us and everything. It's like, dude, we've been seeing firsthand in that whole thing of how the standards of what is a police officer has gone down. And because of that, like, people have lost trust in the police departments, or public trust has been lost, and it's going to take you forever to earn it. And you're sure as fuck not working for it.
Yeah, I mean, and this is as bad as it gets on us, because I've seen some of these things with my own eyes. I've had some of these things directly affect my family and everything. I have had the local police save my life. Literally, I was on my living room floor dying. And if the police hadn't been there when they were, I probably would not be sitting here today. And even so, I am very small in my trust for my local police. Now, I'll cut them a little more slack than I'll cut a lot of police, but only a little. And like I said, they literally saved my life.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, that was something that the Travis sent me. Oh yeah, because Oklahoma
but
State
the
has
airline.
has the
So that-
nation's first anti-red flag laws now in the books.
Yes, anti-red flag law is the way to go. I am sorry, until you have your day in court, unless they are saying you are too dangerous to be left out and actually incarcerating you, which should have its own probable cause and due process involved, they got no business taking more action against you.
Oh yeah. Well, that's like I think it's Minnesota that did it as well. I think every state should be enacting that if a cop pulls you over for a traffic incident or violation, that the first thing they should have to tell you is what that violation is when they get there.
Yeah, California did that.
Yeah,
I'm
it's
like,
California.
wow. But I am all. I mean, California. Okay, stop clock is right twice a day.
Yeah.
Pretextual stops should be gone.
Well, it helps that we've had people, like serial killers pose as cops doing routine pullover.
hmm
Oh.
Well, I mean, all sorts of criminals have
Well,
done
I
that.
mean-
That's like the cop down in Florida is facing legal action for killing that black airman that just had a gun in his hand, but it was technically on, even though it was in an apartment, it was on his property. Even though law enforcement showed up, and yes, they were there for a domestic violence call, which are some of the most dangerous calls police have to respond to because they never know what's going to happen. That cop had no right to barge into the house and tell him to back up.
Yeah, it's
Like,
well. There's
I'm not gonna
that,
lie. Like
and-
when if I would have opened the door, it would have only been so far, and as soon as he'd been like back up, I'd have been like, no.
goodbye.
Yeah, I'd have just shut the door. Because then if the cop tries to fucking throw his foot in there as well, in pretty much every state, and tries to say, oh well, he assaulted a police officer doing that. No, you were breaking and entering.
Yeah, I don't want to be
You-
the poster boy for that trial, though.
Oh,
I'll
it's
tell you.
actually happened several times of the whole thing of cops trying to like put their foot in the door and whatnot to
Well, it's
basically
a
like,
direct Fourth Amendment violation.
Yeah.
Even if the door is wide open, lacking warrant, invite, or exigent circumstances, they can't breach the plane of the door.
And oh yeah, Beach, yeah, I definitely know it's a few places in California that make it bad. I mean, for fuck's sake, if you look at like the voting map, it's predominantly just the three major cities that vote Democrat. And like almost all of Northern California is predominantly Republican or voting red.
Yeah, the problem with everybody wanting to kick out LA and Silicon Valley is that unfortunately that takes me away with it.
Oh, you're
Even though my specific area is not particularly blue.
We'll miss you, Angela.
Yeah.
Well, I say if we're gonna do that, we do one of those things to where it's like anyone who wants to go to those cities to go through that secession type thing or whatnot, we'll let them go there, and then we will bring in and help find housing for those who don't want to be in that. So folks like Angela could come stay with the rest of us.
Yeah,
I'm not a complete piece of shit.
Yay.
That's like, I don't know how many people I met from California when I was in the military that was just like, it's funny the fact of just how many Californians I meet that they love California. They hate the fucking Californian government with a passion.
well, I mean, it just shows that they're being rational people.
Yeah.
I was gonna say we're not idiots. A lot of us just live here because, well, in my case, living someplace else is painful to the point of not being able to move.
I just know
live here because I can't leave.
I live here because I haven't decided if I want to truly move quite yet. That's because Gavin Newsom's a piece of shit, BG, and the earth would be a much better place without him. Like, I'm not wishing harm upon him. I'm wishing him that he would just die from, like, I think it's SADS, is it? It's like sudden adult death syndrome. Like quite literal natural causes. I don't want someone else to hurt him.
Another thing breaks. Motherfucking, I hate this goddamn piece of shit. Motherfucker, god damn it.
You just gonna sit there and cuss now?
Gee, we haven't heard you at all, and we're just getting a cussing tirade when we finally do.
All right, so Discord. Let me explain. So Discord shut my mic off, and then it shunted my mic to somewhere else, and I had to go back and fix my mic. So I fixed my mic, and then it takes my headphones, so now I can't hear shit. So now I'm fucking cussing. I was asking you guys, do you guys know how West Virginia is split from Virginia?
One of them decided that they did not want to go with the South.
Well, it was a little bit more complex than that. So Virginia was one big ass state, and then you had rural Virginia, which was West Virginia. The city folk went with the South, and the rural went with the North. However, before that though, the rural wanted to split from the West and the city folk. But there was a law in place that stopped them from doing that. So when Virginia succeeded, West Virginia like, well, the law's no longer in place because you guys are no longer part of the Union. So they broke up. So if there is another, God forbid, a civil war, the state of Jefferson could happen.
Well, I suspect that what part of that law piece is the fact that it's illegal for one state to be formed or gain from the by taking property from another state without that other state's permission.
Yeah, like West Virginia was paying all the taxes of Virginia while the city folk was getting the food and whatnot. And they didn't, like, they voted not to do it. But again, they succeeded, and West Virginia saw it like, well, that law is no longer in place because you're no longer part of the Union. You succeeded.
They seceded, yes.
Yeah. So okay, since you guys aren't part of the Union, then the Union law doesn't apply to you, but the Union law say, I don't have to do shit to you guys anymore. I'm going on the other side. And that's how we got two Virginias.
So
Here
how
you guys,
you ended
I'm
up
going.
in North and South Carolina.
Yeah, something similar, yes.
I'll be back in just a moment.
He's going to check his toaster.
No, I'm going to use my restroom because I have to rest.
Ah.
Well, nice you got a room for that.
Again, an hour of tear swearing.
Well, it's been an hour of tear swearing, but we haven't heard most of it.
Yeah, it's been like 20 minutes. Like, I'm over there swearing in the dark. You guys like.
It's been like 5 minutes of tear swearing.
I get you though, because I get Discord every so often. Windows and Discord both just wreak havoc with my audio settings.
Yes, and I don't fucking know why. Discord will shunt it to my microphone somewhere else. That go back and refix it. But in the process of me fixing the microphone, it'll shunt my headphones somewhere else. And that shit pisses me the fuck off.
Tell us how you really feel.
Oh well, yeah, I like it very much. I'm just being
Oh.
dramatic. That means I don't gotta hear Rotten's voice. But
I'm still here, Pilgrim.
oh god.
That was so good.
I didn't say that, Rotten. I was just playing. You
Oh,
know
did
what?
I highly doubt this whole thing that freaking Frosty Glass shared from the Biden Harris HU. It said undecided voters say they now support Joe Biden after the debate, and I'm like,
Oh.
do they though? Do they?
Really?
Yeah, I'm feeling a bit of the skeptic.
Yeah. I don't believe it. Did y'all hear Did y'all see the video with Harry Sisson going on Pierce? I forget his last name.
Here's
Piers
Morgan.
Morgan?
Yeah, Piers Morgan's show and getting and saying how he was like Biden won hands down. Yeah, Biden won.
No. But I did hear if that's what Piers Morgan was reacting to. I did actually hear his reaction.
Yes, Pierce was like, "Are you a fucking retard? Because clearly you're being a retard right now."
Wow.
Of the few times I actually agree with Piers Morgan.
Yeah, no, it happens so rarely.
Yeah, he's not wrong all the time, just like 90% of the time. So it's
He's technically correct, the best kind of correct.
I still like the one video I've seen that going around to where it's that fucking Harry Sisson kid talking about how like before the debate how the Republicans they're not gonna see how just gonna see how much Joe is gonna crush, and then it just shows that Mexican guy laughing.
All right, I got a question. And I say this, and I'm serious as fuck. Is he gay?
Who?
Is Harry Sisson gay?
Probably.
I don't know
I don't
who
know.
that is.
The Harry Sisson is the young Democratic shill, and I keep every time I
That's
look
like
at him, I get
100 people that could be, all of which look gay. So
I keep getting gay vibes from this kid, and I know my gaydar isn't broken.
say tier just a relevant, I hope relevant question in regards to that.
No,
Are there any young Democrat operatives that aren't these days? A serious question, because I didn't
that's a
I don't
good
know
point.
I don't know that there are any.
there are straight Democrats. Yeah.
Huh?
Straight young Democrat operatives?
Yeah. Again, I see this kid. I look at him like, and the sirens going off. Woo, 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 gay, gay, and it fucks with me. Just weird.
Funny how gay fucks with you.
God damn it, Angela. Why? Just why? Why, Lord, why? Why are you picking with Tyr? I had to deal with Kathy picking with Tyr. I had to deal with Batman picking with Tyr. Now I gotta deal with Angela picking with Tyr. I might go home and cry.
I'm pretty sure you're home.
I am home.
It's just the crying part that's missing.
Yes.
It's gonna make the joke. Yeah, so Tears basically talking about how he's gonna cry at home, so he's finally gonna get some pussy juice on his face.
Oh,
Bam!
oh!
Probably a low blow, but goddamn.
I wasn't
you are.
that mean.
I mean, you are what you eat, Rodden. I do not deny.
Wow.
Like you are what you eat, so it's all good. No shame in this game.
Oh yeah, I remember seeing that one. It's like Republicans are playing it low. Oh, he has a low bar to this. Yeah, he didn't even clear that.
All Biden had to do was take 20 minutes and be coherent. Trump had the best strategy in the world. He shut the fuck up.
Well, as Monkey basically put it, he didn't have an audience to play to, so he wasn't trying to play to the audience predominantly. He still had his braggadociousness because he's always going to have that.
Yeah, that's always Trump.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he didn't interrupt. Like there were
again,
few cut-offs.
That falls into the whole thing of him trying to appeal to a crowd. When he no longer has that crowd to appeal to, he doesn't do those Grandiose, exaggerated things of being like wrong, China.
Oh,
You be in jail. I still say that was the best line, the best time he ever delivered that.
I still think the best one that ever came out of debate was when Hillary Clinton was trying to be like, he's like, he doesn't pay as much for taxes and everything. And Trump basically says flat out, you're right. I don't do that because I'm following the law. I make enough money that I can pay someone to make sure that I don't have to do that. And me paying them, make sure I don't have to pay as much in taxes. You won't get rid of those laws because your friends, it says you and your friends use them.
Yeah, he was like, yeah, y'all benefit from them, so I'm going to benefit too. Like you had all this time to get rid of them.
It's kind of like what's his name?
That doesn't narrow it down.
Yeah,
Bernie Sanders. Bernie Sanders with his millionaires and billionaires and paying the fair share of taxes. Well, as soon as he became a millionaire, it just went all to billionaires. And
billionaires, yeah.
And the conversation went on about how he releases tax returns.
You just have to have a bestseller book.
And Trump didn't. And he did release his tax returns. Guess who has 2 thumbs and an accounting degree and read through them? Yours truly.
Nice.
You know what?
Sweet.
He took advantage of every single tax break he could get from those.
Yeah, because he probably has a tax attorney for that shit.
And I don't fault, like...
And that's the thing is...
I'm a flat tax guy.
Yeah, same here. And it's like, I'm not mad at any rich person, politician and whatnot, or someone who's been, a tax attorney themselves, going through and knowing the laws. So they can do the loopholes.
Like, I don't fault him for it. What I've got the stop being a hypocrite about it.
Yeah. Like I said,
you used all the laws to protect as much of your income as you could. Only paid the amount that the law says you have to. More power to you. That's great. Stop being critical of those laws. Stop trying to push. Lead by example. You can voluntarily give money to the federal government.
Yeah, that's always the biggest one that bothers me, is always hearing these rich people need to pay their fair share. How do you determine that? Because if it's if it's by the income thing, which is what it usually goes off of, they're following the law. They are technically paying their fair share.
And that's why flat tax is best. If you say 10%, 10% of 100 is $10. 10% of 1,000 is 100. 10% of 10,000 is 1,000. Like, it's fair. Like, if you make $100, you pay $10 of that.
But they don't want that because they want a certain group of people to be tax dependent on the government, and rather than contributing to it, because they want that people as a voting base.
Mm-hmm.
And that gets me every fucking time. Like, how can people not see the cage? I don't get that. I swear to God, it boggles my fucking mind. How do you not see the cage? Like, it's not like it's not like they're obfuscating it. Like,
No, they put it right out in plain sight because
yes, and it fucking boggles my mind to no end. Like, you're just willfully ignorant.
Yeah. I mean, that's why the old saying is, if you're a Republican in your early teens, and it's like in your late teens, early 20s, you don't have a heart. But if you're not a conservative in your older years, you don't have a brain.
well, I
If you're-
didn't have
if
a
you-
heart, so
If you're a liberal, I think the saying is if you're a liberal when you're a teenager,
Republican when you're a child, when you're young, you have no heart. If
Yeah.
you are a Democrat when you're old, you have no brain.
Yeah.
there it is. I
I mean, granted, it's not like either side is really there for the average man. And
I will agree to that.
It's like the whole thing of like, don't get me wrong, a lot of shit that boomers and it's like enacted did not help the average man as well. But it was actually a lot of shit that was done before them that helped that be or brought up to where it could be done. Like the whole thing of, you do know that interest rates used to be federally capped. That I think it was they couldn't go up above like 7 or 10%.
shit.
No interest
Fucking,
rate could.
what is it? There was a rent cap. At one point, you couldn't charge above so much for rent. Life
Yeah.
was good.
Well, that got changed because of the whole low income housing shit.
Yeah.
But no, quite literally, there used to be a thing that quite literally didn't matter what you took out a loan on. If they were going to charge you a percentage, they could not go above a certain thing. And it was back in like the 20s or 30s where the government's just like, we're going to remove that. And there was no legitimate reason to.
Probably somebody's banker friends.
Yeah. Well, the only legitimate reason to is that way we can take more money out of people.
Greed is a powerful thing.
Mm-hmm.
and one place you can always find greed is the U.S. government.
Yeah.
I mean, you add an extra word in there that didn't need to be in there. The one place you can always find greed is government.
Okay, fair.
Adding this government in there, it's like, that's just a duh.
A doy.
It's redundant.
The redundancy department of redundancy.
The redundant department of redundancy.
Well, or you say the Department of Redundancy Department.
I would listen to Sanguine talk about his time as a corrections officer.
No.
Once or twice.
He talks about how there was literally a department that was in charge that had a redundant title. They had a redundant position. Like, they didn't fucking need it. Like, I need to get him next time we're on with him. I'll try to get him to talk about it again.
It's like, and I am completely not surprised for that. I was still just pretty funny, or found it pretty funny because, like, I think he said it was in his family that, like, he had a grandparent, a great grandparent that was, like, the eighth surviving child. That I couldn't resist to pull my grandfather and my dad's side story of like, that's nothing, bro. My dad's father was the 18th surviving child. And I think Gabby or or one of them was just like, oh goddamn, or no, it was Quiz like must have been Catholic. It's like no, but from everything I'm aware of, she was 100% Cherokee, and at that time frame as well, they didn't necessarily believe in not having kids.
God, I bet you. Don't take this the wrong way, but I bet you she, man, cold winter nights.
I will say this as well. I don't know so much about her, but I do know my great grandfather was insane.
Ah,
That's the reason why my grandfather was basically raised by his eldest brother, who was like 18 years his senior.
ah.
Well, you see, those big families allowed you to do that too.
Yep, shit gets weird.
Yeah, it did.
Seriously, you're still showing pre-shipment? What the fuck?
What are you?
I'm waiting
Con
on a holster that supposedly started its shipments process on June 14th. And it's been sitting at the pre-shipment since then. And
Oh,
supposedly
nice.
it's supposed to get sent tomorrow. Which reminds me, I got to go to Menards and look at screws again. And BG, I'm not crazy. I'm just mildly paranoid. And that's normal.
I
Like
have
I'm
to go. Go ahead.
what?
Never mind. Your thing. I thought you had finished.
Oh no, I always say it's like that I am mildly paranoid.
Yeah,
Military
but you
beat that into me.
started saying more, and I thought I had thought you were done.
I'm mildly, just mild. God damn it!
You're not paranoid if there really is a monster hiding under the stairs waiting to eat your face.
I mean, my personal favorite one is I'm not crazy. They just spread that rumor to discredit me.
Look, my sleep paralysis demon does not like being called the monster. All right, he told me that himself.
Well, I
It's
think I have to be able to
actually-
sleep to have a sleep paralysis demon.
Same.
Oh shit!
It's actually an almost direct quote from the Dresden Files novel.
What?
The monster under the stairs waiting to eat your face off.
I only got to like the past the third, or I think I only read up to the third book.
Oh, I love those books.
I really need to try reading those because I've heard.
I
I'm
really need
not
to get back into
sure.
reading in general.
I have to see if there's anything after Ghost Story. That's the last one that I read.
Yeah, there's like 12 or 13 in the series.
Well, I see. I've also got to. This is where I have to do the saving up of funds and figuring it out because there's a book out there that I've got to buy because it's a series that's going to have 3+ books, and apparently I'm making an appearance in book 3. So,
Oh,
I absolutely
do?
agree with you, Travis.
what is this? Six's one of Six's books?
yeah.
Sweet.
I told him as one I got to buy it. I've got to work out the budget and buy the book. And two, it's like, please tell me I'm the villain in book number 2. But apparently Johnny and I may be making a book 3 appearance.
Yay!
Which if
Yeah.
he does a twins thing right, will be really cool. If he doesn't, it'll like, dude, you disappointed me.
I am greatly disappointed.
I'm not angry, not
I'm just
upset.
disappointed.
I'm just disappointed.
No, I was going with the Gary Oldman
Yeah.
Mr. Zorg in The Fifth Element?
Emmanuel John Baptiste Zorg. That is one of my favorite movies.
See, and I was just going with the dad role.
Yeah, the typical parent.
I'm not angry. I'm just disappointed.
CBG, I can't tell you if I've read all 17 because I don't know if there were any books after Ghost Story. I can tell you that I've read all of the books up through Ghost Story.
So I've got like the first 10 on my Kindle. I need to start busting that thing out again, recharge it and bust it out again.
Okay, why can't I enter the highway?
Because you're in a house?
Now I'm playing X4.
Your sleep paralysis demon was named Robin, and she insisted you were married. Well,
I mean, teach their own.
Look, I understand that to a lot of people, they would probably consider me like desperately alone for how long I haven't been in a relationship and everything, but I'm not that bad.
I realize that I've gone mad, but I'm okay. I'm okay with it.
see, I am crazy, and I am probably a long way from over Mrs. Forge, and I don't have any interest.
I'm so crazy I went sane again.
The fuck? Is that even possible?
That just sounds like a terrifying notion.
Usually is.
Yeah, I'm like 4 books behind.
I've started reading. So I recently started reading, like the year's best fantasy stories, like from like the 70s. So the first one takes place right after J.R.R. Tolkien died. So it's a lot of Tolkien-esque stories. They're just a bunch of short stories. I started reading that because I got bored at work. Oh, let me share all this picture.
Well, it's like I don't know how things are gonna go for mine because they just starting today at work, we no longer have a third shift.
Oh, fuck.
So all our third shifters either got a severance package, moved to or filled in spots in first or second shift. So we're gonna see how things go. I'm really hoping that someone will finally convince our corporate, not our bosses so much, that even the whole thing of whether or not we're meeting our numbers currently, that we still should go to 410s to put less strain on the machines themselves.
Mm-hmm.
4-month cycles harder on them than an extra couple hours of operation a day.
Well, if you're shutting them down every day, except, and that whole thing, and they're down for 8 hours a day, and then they have to take that hour start time for a lot of them, because that's what happens on the one that we currently shut down every day. That can be that can be exponentially harder on the machines.
Check our private chat.
For aerosol cans.
You're
So
sleeping at work.
Yes. I must have been out. A good friend of mine.
Is hard at work.
Yeah. I was checking in, a bag with my eyes closed. That's what that was.
Uh-huh.
Just checking a bag psychically.
Yeah, that's what I was doing. I was over there with communing with the spirits and astral projecting myself into the bags. Reason.
Do you have a warrant for that?
Nope, I can do it because I'm not physically searching it. It's astral projection.
I'm pretty sure we could probably get the Supreme Court to be very particular on that because
They gotta prove that I violated laws. Like, there's no laws against me actively projecting and as I search those bags. See?
I somehow don't think you can actually try to spin that bullshit.
Who would believe that I could actually ask for a project?
That's my point.
Exactly. So who's going to stop me from doing it? It will require the
That
ponderance
just
of
means
evidence.
you're asleep at work.
No, well, Angela, stop telling people the truth.
I think most of them are just going to look over and be like, yeah, I'm pretty sure he's just retarded.
Yeah.
Well, I work for the government. Yeah, I do. What
Yeah,
the hell
you
is
what?
this one?
What?
Yep, Tier works for the government.
I know he works for the government. He just like made my eyes cross with astral projection.
Wow. Nah, I was off on my break earlier, so I took a quick nap.
Okay.
Yeah, like this. That was taken in our break room,
Cool.
so it wasn't me doing. I wasn't at the machines doing anything. Just did it on my break. Dead to the world. We do dumb shit like that to each other some days.
Peachy
Take
coming
your
in strong.
hand
Work's
off
such a
your-
strong word. He takes paychecks from the government.
Work. That's what you want to call it. I don't really work per se. Or like I appear, they want me to do something, I do it, then I collect the
I
check and
go
go
to
home.
a place. I do a couple of things. I
I
go home.
call my fuck shit up, I leave.
There you go.
I go to a place. I go through people's bags and I go home.
Go through bags per se.
You go through people's bags.
Per se. Gotta add that part is important.
My name is Angela, not Percy. Thank you.
You gotta add that per se part.
No, you really don't.
Per se in the playpen.
Yeah, I don't necessarily go through the bags. I examine the bag. There's a difference.
You
Sure.
get paid to rifle through people's bags.
Yeah, I do. Voila.
The
may as well
difference,
just stop denying it because she's gonna keep on hitting.
the difference between you and a panty raider is that you get paid for it.
And I don't.
Hold on. And technically, they bring their panties to him.
Yeah, that's true too.
I don't rifle through people's panties anymore.
Just not any less either.
Not anymore either.
They stopped putting the panties on the top.
They did.
I was gonna
So-
say, he just rifles through his own nowadays.
Yeah.
Ooh. Huh.
I had a friend of mine's. A friend of mine's wife. She fucking hates customs. So she really fucking hates customs because she travels a lot and they're like assholes to her.
That
Probably
sounds about
has-
right.
So she's sensible.
She hates customs. They're really hard to remember.
And she
That
she
too.
had the she said she had the idea of putting like a dirty pair of panties at the very top. So when they're rifling through a bag, that's the first thing they fucking see. And I said, please don't. Like, why? Because, like,
Customs shouldn't be the
they don't
ones
want
going through your freaking thing, anyways.
they have to. Like, you can sometimes they require to check your bag just as much as TSO is, especially if you're coming from like another country.
It
Oh,
probably
okay.
depends on the country as well.
Yeah, like she did a lot of international travel. Like she went to like Peru and whatnot for her job.
I'm coming back from Colombia, and I mean, my baggage is only 50 to 100 kilos heavier than when I left. You shouldn't need to check it out.
Like, come on, you can't be telling them that, man. Well, what did I tell you about that? You can't be saying stuff like that publicly, man.
I mean, I still say my personal favorite of any of those was the one jazz player and whatnot that was able to convince a sitting president to carry his bag through the airport when they were returning because of him being an older gentleman and also him knowing that no one's going to check the bag if the president's holding it. And he did
Really?
that because it had his weed in it.
Of course.
What president and who?
I don't remember.
Mm-mm-mm.
It was a trumpet player, though.
Was it a
Oh,
trumpet player?
If memory serves me correctly.
in Armstrong, maybe.
Plausibly.
I see fields of blue, and I
It
think
was
to
never that
myself,
high, dude.
what a wonderful world.
My personal favorite for on that is I see trees of green. More green trees too. There's more trees over there. And trees there too. And I think to myself, oh shit, I'm lost in the woods.
And I think to myself, oh shit, I'm lost in the woods.
Wow.
I gotta have
Yes,
fun
I
with it.
think to myself, I'm lost in the.
Okay, wait, no, that goes in Poor Boy Optics. 'Cause I still gotta figure out what I'm gonna put that one optic on because I found out that on my one little Glock that there is a spot that's slightly stripped out, so it'll thread onto there, but it won't tighten to proper tightness. It'll just spin indefinitely.
Ooh.
Yeah, it'll work with something that has a taller screw that has more threads. But when you're talking about a thread, or it's like a screw that's like just over 1/8 of an inch long,
Mhm.
yeah, you got to have the threading for that. Like, it may be the thing that I just retire that slide because I think, I mean, I've already got the one slide that doesn't have a red dot mount that I can use. And
Okay.
plus, I still have my PSA slide. So I'll try to see if I can get one of my other red dots to work on it, and if I can, it's gonna get that.
Mm-mm. Sorry, I was reading
The
Travis.
president. Well, the president now probably has cocaine.
Well, it's not his.
You still haven't narrowed it down. I'm pretty sure there's been quite a few presidents that have had cocaine.
I'm pretty sure fucking Kennedy had cocaine. Like he just looks like he snorted a few lines.
I still
I
just
wouldn't say cocaine, though I wouldn't be surprised if he did pot.
Well, we know he fucked Marilyn Monroe, so
What does that have to do with anything we were talking about?
I
I'm
just
pretty
like
sure-
the
I
joke
just wanted to bring
that
it up.
I just like the joke that there's the belief that his head just did that sometimes.
Oh God.
Yeah, human head just magically explode. Yeah.
I go with the I'm pretty sure that the peanut farmer didn't do weed. He did something much stronger and far worse for your intellect.
He went to college.
No, I was just trying to figure. There's got to be a drug that's worse for your brain than weed. I figure that's what he did.
There's
Awesome.
a lot of drugs that are really bad for your brain that are worse than weed.
Agreed.
Meth will do shit to you. Heroin.
See
Get
how
on
Miss
that.
France riding?
Get on that old opium. Technically, per what I've admitted to, the military before I joined, the only thing I have done is marijuana, and that was the only thing I've ever done purposefully, is what I'll say. I have never put anything up my nose nor in my veins.
Say, well, that and probably tear gas and stuff, because stuff like that's
The CS, like I'm talking about, like that would be done recreationally. Anything else was done per.
military protocols.
Yeah.
So no.
So my mom had the joke that she could tell if it was something I had to inject, she knew I didn't use it because I fucking hate needles.
I don't hate needles. I'm just not fucking using them.
No, I fucking hate needles.
That just takes too much goddamn effort.
Oh, I am probably the worst person on the face of the planet to give an injection to, which is why it makes perfect sense that I became diabetic. But that was the one thing, is any drug that involves injecting yourself, there's no way it's getting close to me.
Yep, that's what my mom said. One day I was really sick. It was when I was older. Maybe I was like, I want to say, I had just started working at TSA. No, it was a little after I started working at TSA, and I had gotten really sick.
When he was older, so 2 years after diapers instead of 1. Yeah.
Ha 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 ha. And I was really sick. She said, "Boy, you take your ass to the hospital." And I go to the hospital, and she said she comes there after her job. She says, "You must have been really fucking out of it. Why? Because you took that needle and you didn't even fucking flinch." Yeah.
It don't matter how sick I am. You sticking a needle in me, it's going to be a bad reaction.
Oh no, I felt like shit.
Oh, so I have absolutely no issue with like getting a shot. That's never bothered me in the longest time. But I mean, we're also talking about, I'm the same kid that was attacked by a German Shepherd when I was in basically like preschool age, and then had to get 300 stitches in my dome.
My cousin got bit by a Rottweiler, but I never had the unfortunate pleasure of being attacked by a dog. So
Don't recommend.
I'd imagine so.
Yeah, I actually have been attacked by dogs. Goes with the territory in FedEx.
Well, you gotta remember, Will, you're also a cat, so
Yeah.
Well,
dogs never enemies.
the dog that I got attacked by had heartworms, was also had a bit of wolf in it. Because it was like a German Shepherd, had a bit of wolf mix in it. Then had heartworms, and just the area it was in got a lot of sun, so it was having some heat issues as well. Because
Dang.
luckily it didn't get my face,
God, that dog was
and it just got the
pissed.
top of my head. So quite literally, it took probably a 4 inch. It's like it gotten a 4 inch diameter thing of skin that had flapped over on my head, and it was just licking the blood off me or out of me.
Rodden, how close have you been to death? How many times have you been a hair's breadth from meeting the Grim Reaper?
I know I'm in
Too
double
many?
digits. I don't think I'm technically in triple.
Like you tell us stories like the motorcycle incident. Like you just hair's breadth from being freak pizza.
I've
Here?
almost been ran over by a semi several different times. Once on a bicycle, once in a vehicle.
Some of us
Yes.
track our milestones in near-death experiences. It just is.
It's
I
just
mean,
what it is.
if we want to go off the whole anniversary of like when I statistically easily should have died and whatnot, then technically this year will be my 21st anniversary from when I statistically should have died. Since my appendix ruptured when I was 17.
Mm,
And then 2 weeks later, I went to the hospital.
Rodden, my friend, my brother in Christ, my friend, my brother in Christ, my compadre, my ace of spades, my brother in
I'm
death.
not gonna say it. I'm not gonna say it.
But what the fuck, man?
Well, I was pushing carts at the Sam's Club in the middle of winter. And just part of my side felt hot. And even though I was pushing in as many carts as the other guys, I just wasn't pushing them in as fast. So they were like, my boss was just like, you need to work, or like, you need to hustle. And then 2 weeks later, they found out that that's what had happened to me. Oh, the really fun part about that one was, because I went to a tech center, which is where I got my, it's like a little bit of a thing for electronics.
Mm-hmm.
And I was miserable for 2 weeks because what had happened was my appendix had encased in itself in a 2 inch diameter ball of pus and infection.
Gross.
Yeah, oh yeah, freaking lovely. And everyone everyone at my freaking tech center thought I was faking it. There were some people thought I was faking it and whatnot. But then like I feel shitty enough as like to the point where my parents like, all right, you are definitely worse than you have been. We're gonna take you to the hospital. Again, turns out that's the whole thing that happens because I hadn't basically dropped a deuce in like a week. So, that's where I got the first time of getting a finger up the bum, and it wasn't like the let's be experiment and, try to breathe, relax, we're going to try to find your G spot. It was an older nurse saying, we have to check for blockage, and then wham, bam, no thank you, ma'am.
She didn't even reach around? That's some bullshit.
So as soon as she went out the room, my first response was that was just wrong. With a lot more force than that. And my mom's like, you can't be saying like that. My dad's just laughing from it. And because at that time frame as well, since I really hadn't been able to eat anything, since I had to get a CAT scan to verify everything, I couldn't drink the one stuff that you're supposed to drink for the CAT scan to help show up.
Yeah.
So yeah, at 17 years old, I also ended up having to get an enema. So basically after it was not a fun day.
Oh.
The only nice thing about that was basically on the walk back to the room before they were like, we're going to check the results and then probably have to get you into surgery or whatnot. I'm like, you need to bring me to a bathroom. And my mom turns to me, she's like, we're almost there. And I'm like, we ain't gonna make it. I'm like, I need to go now. And the nurse, God bless her, like seriously, she's just like on it and straight up fucking turns me to the bathroom. And that was vile.
Oh, Lord.
Yeah.
Did the nurse at least call you after,
No. The defecation I had to take from all of that was vile. But I was glad to
no.
finally having to poop because I can barely poop. I had barely pooped in 2 weeks.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so then I went in for surgery and I got put on an all liquids diet for a week. And it was hysterical because like after that week and being in the hospital and everything, and yes, BG, it was a shitty story.
Uh,
Of like of
uh,
like they definitely did have some cute nurses in there, and I don't know how many drugs I had in me and everything because my dad told me the story of how apparently I went cross-eyed for a moment. If I'm trying to watch the TV, trying to have a conversation with my parents, they're on my right, and at one point my right eye just turns over while my left eye stayed straight in the TV, looked at them for a couple seconds, and then went back straight.
My brother in
okay.
Christ. My brother in Christ. Please stop.
Oh no, then the other fun part about that one is like, okay, so finally get it to where they're releasing me from the hospital. I had been there for a week. I went from like 215 to damn near 220 pounds to just over a buck 60 in a week.
God damn.
Wow.
Well, again, when you basically
You were
had 2 weeks of
really sick.
constipation plus all the other crap in there, then you're on an all liquids diet for like 4 days. That's going to run everything through you.
Yeah.
But I get out, or it's like as I'm going there, the doc is just like, okay, you can go back to school on this day. And I'm like, sir, that is 3 days before spring break. I'm not going back on that day. And my mom looks at me like, how fucking, like, kind of gives me that look like, how fucking dare you tell this doc that? And he never looked up, never looked at my mother, and just goes, yeah, you're right. You're not going back to school until after spring break. I'm like, my
It
man.
was cool. That doctor was cool.
And then
I
within
am
like,
not-
Doctor will turn around, and if you'll let them give you the time to rest, they will gladly take it.
what was that one thing? If they'd have let me get out of the hospital any sooner, I would have. I wasn't the
Yeah.
person that was in there, being like, oh, I need a nurse for this. I'm like, nope, I want to get up on my feet and back to how I was.
Yeah, exactly. And a lot of people are like that. They have a really hard time getting people to take the time to recover.
Shit.
So-
My doctor gives me. I ask my doctor, hey, doc. Every time I go to the hospital, I ask for that because I go on a Monday. I want Tuesday and Wednesday off, so I got 3 days. He goes, sure, go ahead and take it. Even if it's just a routine checkup.
Oh, my thing in the whole situation was the more of like, I want to get back up and walking again in that whole thing because that sucked not being able to sit up. And
Mhm.
I wanted to get out of the hospital. Like, I don't mind if I'm going to have to rest. I just don't want to have to be in a hospital.
I hate you.
Not
I
my
will
favorite place
concur.
to be. I'm allergic to some of them, actually.
Okay,
mean-
Will. I'm gonna probably sound really naive. Are you really?
Yeah, something in the air.
Okay,
Really?
good.
Older ones, older hospitals that don't have like really good modern air
Ventilation.
filtration systems. Older buildings are hell on me in general, but hospitals were the worst.
Well, yeah, because that's where all the germs.
And then it was fun because then 3 years later after that, I had to go back to the hospital, to a different hospital, but to the one in Holland instead of to a different one where my doctor was because of crashing that dirt bike. Otherwise, everything after that, other than getting the ligament or the hardware in my hand for crashing that dirt bike, and then later on getting the ligament in my knee, the only surgeries I've had have been to remove cysts since then. Predominantly on my dome.
Ah.
Oh, wait, I did forget that in between that time frame as well, I'm pretty sure it was, that I had broken my fingertip on my right hand, to where I had to have a couple pieces of bone removed.
Okay.
I bunted wrong.
Sounds like it.
Yep. So I had a metal baseball bat and then like a 70, 80 mile an hour pitch from a pitching machine. And my middle finger on my right hand got caught in between those two. And I will tell you, it did not win. I am not the main character in an anime, or at least I have not been isekai'd properly yet.
Not yet.
But I'm going to be honest
One of
with
these
you,
days.
I'm fine with that.
Yeah, definitely
You-
not an isekai.
You gotta pray to Truck-kun. Pray to Truck-kun. He'll come get you.
Then you shut up.
Good.
We don't need
What?
that to happen.
I don't want it to happen, but if you pray to Truck-kun, then Truck-kun will come take him to Isekai Land.
We are not doing that.
Yes, man, we're not praying to Truck-kun. It takes all the fun out of being a guy. Love you,
Nope.
Andrew.
I'd rather have, although I still do want to read the story of the truck that tried to hit Chuck Norris and ended up in its own isekai.
Oh, that again, Truck-kun. That was him.
Oh, well, BG, I can say this as well, that like from everything I'm aware of, I was born pretty lucky, and unfortunately for me, mine wasn't like the I was born super lucky into the like winning money or stuff like that. Cause I was born September 30th, 9:30. I was born at 9:30 in the morning. Hey, by the way, I also weighed 9 pounds 3 ounces when I was born.
Your birthday is the same day as my niece and my middle daughter.
So
I was born March 3rd.
it's just one of those one things that it's like I honestly think I just have that luck of like, or just the
You have
guardian
the devil
angel
luck.
or the whatnot that's just like, yo, this is gonna make a great story for him. It's not gonna help him, but it's gonna make a great story for him.
What? You got Sam Kinison as your angel. Your guardian is Sam fucking Kinison.
See, and I saw a meme this week about being on second guardian angel, and the first one's in therapy. I'm like, second, maybe, possibly third.
I'm pretty sure, like, if I have a guardian angel for some of the shit that I had back, or for some of the shit that I was like back then, I was like whatever fucking private had to watch Sergeant Reckless, or had to take care of Sergeant Reckless for the Marine Corps. Because technically it was whatever new private it was had to go take care of the horse Sergeant Reckless. But technically, to like they couldn't ride Sergeant Reckless because they didn't outrank her. So they were considered probably the most fit person in the Marine Corps, because the way they would get Sergeant Reckless to, go out and exercise and whatnot, since she wasn't allowed to carry anything heavier than her blanket, basically mean that Marine had to run alongside Sergeant Reckless.
Wow.
Hey, that's also how we got the original fucking gender reveal, because the stud, the expensive race stud and whatnot that was supposed to be with there, since, the Marine Corps doing the smart thing, or the military in general doing the smart thing of like, hey, we have this animal, they have someone who takes care of them. We should inform of them of this entire process. So instead, Sergeant Reckless ended up getting mounted by just one of the other Marine horses.
Oh.
So when that private came back, like, he kept all that shit away. And when they found out Sergeant Reckless was pregnant, like, what was the name of that racing stud and whatnot? And he's like, the fuck are you talking about? And he's like, it was just some random horse that was in there that Marino was. They're like, the fuck are you talking about? And he's just like, so in general had that, and he's just like, y'all didn't tell me. So that's why, especially after getting into the military and everything, and then hearing stories like that, quite literally, other than distrust of the government is no reason for alarm. My favorite thing, or it's like saying from Bert, is that I have been denied critical need to know information. I mean, my personal favorite still is the distrust in the government is no reason for alarm. I think I'm saying that right.
Excuse me. I'm still hurt about what they did in that movie. Still sore about that movie.
So, but going into the whole thing with Sergeant Reckless and that whole thing, so
Yes.
since she did get pregnant, basically the Marine Corps had a, what is she having? So quite literally, because they couldn't been like, oh, it's the offspring of it's like if this horse and Sergeant Reckless, like, well, we hatched this whole thing, and then they went to have a thing for them to name the thing, or like name Sergeant Reckless's baby, and I don't remember what the fuck it was. You can watch the Fat Electricians thing on it. Yeah, distrust in the government is no cause for suspicion. Bert Grummer.
Uh-huh.
And it's damn straight.
Your life makes me sad.
Who's?
No, I just wanted to throw that one in there.
Hey, that shirt actually did make me kind of a friend in a way when I was in Africa in 2017.
So your life makes me
No.
sad shirt.
2017? Fuck, it was 2017 or 2016. I can't remember.
It's still one of those best shirts. I like that one.
Fuck, I cannot remember that whole. But okay, so I'm in Africa, near Djibouti, the city, and I'm at the smoke pit, and I was wearing my Ranting Monkeys. Your life makes me sad. And I had a Marine come up, and he's just like, I know of that guy, but he was more of an at the time H3 fan, before Ethan got retarded, more retarded, anyways.
Extra retarded.
Yeah. When he actually put work into his shit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so him and I got bullshit and whatnot. And when he found, it's like, it was one of those things to where him and I kind of had the same thing in a way that a tech sergeant I had TDY'd with when he met his wife, because his wife was in the army, or at least was at the time, met her platoon sergeant. Because she came up and she's like, this is my husband. He's in the Air Force, and he's like kind of like cycling back, and then she's like, yeah, he's aircraft maintenance. He goes, oh, how's it going? Do we have a porn bot, or is this just someone being a jackass?
Yes.
What?
Well, they're talking about anal sex.
How do you bop somebody?
Well, I'll do it. I'll put user in timeout.
I said I just went and did that one with they get the 5 minutes.
I just remove them.
Checking their channel. No, they seem to have at least one subscriber. No, they're a bot.
Should I just remove them?
Just deleting the message.
They're a bot. 2022, one subscriber. Playlist.
What's going on, Camel? That's the perfect response. I'm not a bot. I'm just horny. I said, but it's coming up on 2. It's been it's been over an hour and a half. I think we're gonna get out of here. And remember, folks, This Thursday is the 4th of July. Any big plans for you guys?
Never watched alone.
Say big plans? No, just the usual small plans.
Yeah, I think the only plan I technically have is just going to my folks' house to have dinner or a late lunch.
Where my go ahead.
I live in a house where I can see 6 different fireworks displays from my backyard.
Yeah, if I
Not
leave,
to
if I go out,
mention-
yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Not to mention what the neighbors set off. So
Oh, I don't really care for fireworks displays anymore, considering the fact like Japan had, or at least Okinawa had a bunch of different weird ones from time to time, and I'd catch them out on my balcony when I'd step out to smoke a cigarette.
Nice.
Oh.
I can see quite a few from my apartment if I go out just by going out on my back balcony. If I go out in front, I can see more. My neighbors don't set them off because I live in an apartment and the lease agreement has setting off fireworks on the premises is a first defense eviction.
Wow.
Yeah. I got no issues with that. But obviously, and wow, tried to show for a second, like put 6 different sentences together in my head and was like, I can't say that because I don't know if I can speak those words like in actual speech, not because they're vulgar. But Tier has the Monday Minions spot now.
Mm-hmm.
And he has his Thursday Never Watch Alone, which, depending on what it is, I may join for it. Because the only thing I'm going to do is it's range, dinner, or it's like the late lunch, and then I have to do shoulders at some time that day.
6 o'clock Eastern Standard.
And then obviously there's the Saturday show, which I believe we're going to be pushing forward in time.
Yeah, it'll be 11 o'clock instead of 11:55. So, we're-
If
Yeah.
I could turn back time.
if I could find a way.
I'd go back to when I was really young and I'd tell my dad I want to learn to be a boxer.
cool.
Oh, actually, in
I
that
would
whole
spend more time with my fam.
well, I if I did that as well, since my grandfather was really into boxing, I'd have probably hemmed part of the relationship between my dad and his dad a lot faster than it did take. And I'd have probably become his favorite grandson. Which probably could have really pissed my aunt off, and in retrospect now, I would find that fucking hilarious.
There you go.
And then Will, what you got going on Saturday?
Well, the plan is another watching paint dry stream. Although I do have to say that I currently also have some plans to help Mom Forge with a few projects around her house, so that may or may not interfere with the normal streaming.
Alrighty. And you can find Angela on most of our streams except for Monday where she's with Adam. Right?
Yep.
I should have something out by like Friday, Saturday time frame for the update on the optic. I'm gonna get one more range day in with it to test out a theory I have because I've been shooting like trash with it.
Mm-hmm.
I hear you bought the C.
Yep. Oh, I mean, I'm still sitting here dead eye in that fucking Sig 220 Sport. God, is it pretty. But we're going to get out of here. Have a happy 4th of July. If you're going to indulge, don't drive. And indulge responsibly.
Don't indulge.
Yes. And don't let other people indulge if they're going to drive.
And if you want, say, if you're gonna have some friends over and you're planning on barbecuing and indulging, making sure everybody stays long enough to counter that, even if that means offering them the guest room and the couch.
That, or if you have the whole thing for it, call them an Uber.
Yep.
Mhm.
We're gonna get out of here, folks. So again, have a good one.
Good night, y'all. Happy.
Oh yeah, on Sunday next week we will be doing National Treasure.
Mhm.
So
We were still in the Independence.
Camel, well, if you guys are wanting to watch and plausibly even join for a review, you're more than welcome. You know where
I
we
really
be
want
playing.
to for that one. Set
Yep.
alarms. Sunday. Don't be a goober.
Yep, and as Camel said, also make sure you put a helmet on that soldier if you plan on making your lady see fireworks.
Wow.
At least if that's
That
your
is
that's
a really cool way of.
at least if that's your implication on hoping that she'll see fireworks, or just that you're going to just set off some bottle rockets.
Ha!
All right.
So parting words in this whole scenario. Tyr, got anything?
If you're passionate about saying devour him, don't let him devour you.
Angela.
Make sure you make your dogs feel safe if there are fireworks near you.
Yes. And Will?
I will take advice of good value and give you good advice in return. Don't drink and drive.
I'm going to use the one that I had in that whole thing. Hey, gamblers, you should send me $20. I might send you back 100. All right, everyone, have a good week. It should be a short week for most people who don't work in like the service or TSA like industries.
Mm-hmm.
But you should be able to hopefully have a good week. We're getting
Bye, all.
we're over halfway through this fucking year. All right.
Woohoo!
So have a good one. Latest.
Night. Y'all.
Last.
Hey, thanks for tuning in. Join us again next week, or you can check out the other people in the panel in the description and see us again plausibly on one of their channels, or just check out what work they've done. Have a good week, everyone.